What's going on, everyone? So we have a important video here to shut up and shut down a lot of stuff. Regarding people just making up stuff that's not true, like the Steam Deck being more powerful than the Switch 2. And I'm like, are you out of your mind? It's not even close. And then people saying delusional comments like, I'm just going to emulate Switch 2 games on my Steam Deck. And I'm like, how are you going to emulate something on a system that's weaker than the system you're trying to emulate? It's all like dumb. When you emulate, you have to have something way more powerful than it. In this video right here, we're going to shut all this up. But I already took a look at the stats and I've told people the only thing the Steam Deck has that can even somewhat compete with the Switch is its CPU. That's it. But like I said, everything else gets blown away. It's no competition. This guy here's tired of it. So is a lot of other people. I've told people it's a niche device that sold like, what, 4 million in 3 years. That's not good at all. It's just something to be supplementary to you. You don't need it though, because I can do everything I can on my PC and my desktop. Why would I ever want that? I'd rather have my Switch 2 with me because that's exclusive games. But anyways, let's get ready to take a look at this video. Are we ready to shut all this up? Like, comment, subscribe. We're going to be doing everything along the way.
Can we finally put to rest that the Switch 2 absolutely destroys the Steam Deck in graphics? I'm sick and tired of hearing Steam Deck fanboys saying the Steam Deck is more powerful when it clearly isn't. That's a sentiment shared in the comments on a video where I matched some of the massive drop of new Switch 2 Cyberpunk 2077 gameplay footage against the PlayStation 5 version.
It's right here.
Between that video and a couple of other videos I've done along similar lines, like comparing it to the Xbox Series.
Can't tell me that isn't so blurry right there. You can't see anything. It's super clear over there. And the moon is right
and
there.
A pair of different sets of PC settings, or when I spoke about how the Switch 2 is indeed more powerful than the popular gaming handhelds.
Look how much better that looks compared to that. It's no contest and clarity.
When you look at the big picture of things, I have had a lot of tell you what, let's use the word
Can't even see any smoke there.
Of the Steam Deck make some rather bold claims about how they think when they play Cyberpunk on the.
How is this even a comparison? Look how blurry this is. It is literally way better over here. Look how blurry this dude is compared to this.
Steam Deck, it looks better than the gameplay that we've seen from the Switch 2.
Yeah, you're joking me, right?
Far. And look, Blunty wasn't a nickname I gave myself. It's similar to a handle I used to use, but it got shortened to Blunt.
Look how blurry that looks compared to the Switch 2. A night and day difference. Look at his textures on a Steam Deck compared to that. How? It's not even close.
And it didn't stick with me for decades now because I'm known to beat around the bush with my strongly held opinions and perspectives. No, it stuck because I'm blunt. However, I am going to try really hard right now to say this in a way that won't get a bunch.
I mean, you guys see this, right? Look at that difference between these two. And then look at his face. Look at it here. It's getting blown away.
Furiously tone policing me about how I said something instead of
way
what
better.
I said. Because I get that a lot. But are you out of your crap-filled gourds?
They are, matey.
What universe of atomic...
Once again, look at how blurry that is compared to this. Look at the detail quality. Once again. Look at this little part right here compared to that. Super blurry over here.
Powered denial do you have to live in to think that this game, running at settings that the Steam Deck can handle while delivering a playable performance level, legitimately looks better than the gameplay we're seeing from the Switch 2 version?
Performing better in FPS and at higher settings it better don't. That's what I'm saying. What are we talking about here?
How many drugs have you taken? All of them?
Yeah.
You took all of them, didn't you? What fetid mass
Even when the dialogue happens, it's blurry on the Steam Deck and super clear on the Switch.
of bacteria-riddled goo resides inside your cinder
Look how blurry this dialogue is compared to the Switch 2 dialogue.
block thick skulls where a brain should be is capable of making you say those things in public where people can see you. Aren't you embarrassed?
What a difference. Look at how blurry this is. It's like blocked out. And look at the clarity right here.
To quote another recent comment on the last video, the level of insecurity and bitterness the Switch 2 has caused in Steam Deck fanboys is hilarious.
There is no contest to begin with. The Steam Deck only exists because of the Switch 1. Like I said, it's a supplementary device, but the Switch 1, so like, it's at 153 million right now. Like, how is that even a comparison? It's a blowout. There is no comparisons. It's cool for what it is, but it's not needed. And now it's getting embarrassed by this. You know what I mean? And it's $50 less, and it has no dock. It can be improved in the dock. The Switch can be improved in the dock. It has 120 frames per second handheld mode. It has all those amazing exclusives, the retro communities and the Nintendo community. It's going to sell juggernaut sales, right? It's more powerful docked. It has 4K. It has VR handheld mode. I mean, I don't understand how there's even a comparison. Like I said, it's just literally following the shadow of Nintendo. It always has been. And it has no games around it. It's just something if you want to have something extra for it, but it's not needed. That's the difference.
Man, it's so hard to say things in a polite manner like I just did. You should hear what I really think.
But we're seeing this. Night and day difference.
Hello again. I am indeed Blunty. And yes, what you're looking at is the new Switch 2 gameplay side by side with gameplay from the Steam Deck settings. Now, to be really clear on this, I do not own a Steam Deck. This is actually running on my ROG Ally, which is of course a close architectural relative of the Steam Deck's
He's using the Asus ROG Ally and using equal settings.
AMD powered heart, only a more modern, even more powerful flavor. But I am running it at the so-called Steam Deck Golden 40 settings. Specifically, that is a collection of carefully tuned settings that the Steam Deck community largely have settled on to have the game looking as best it can while targeting 40 FPS,
And he's using the Asus ROG Ally, a more powerful device to do this. It should tell you something.
Is the target for the same reason the Switch 2 version.
Because you got some people saying it's $449. I'm like, the Steam Deck is $399. It's way weaker. It has no dock, and it has none of those features I just said, and no first party. So what are we talking about? The hardware is fine. That's not the problem.
As a mode that targets a 40 FPS. It is a notable improvement in feel without quite.
But right here, we see it again, right? Look at the lighting over here. Look at how faded it is. Look how clear the lighting is here. It has the right color to it and clarity. Same thing in his face. You see the blurriness compared to this dude over here. Once again, blurriness. More color over here on this light and more color on his body, and he's not blurry.
The same power overhead that 60 FPS would suck up.
It's over with, and we're going to do a lot of videos about this.
These are the Golden 40 settings designed for the latest patch of the game. I checked them against 3 different Steam Deck specialist community sites to make absolutely sure I had this right. This is representative of what the game presents like, what Steam Deck players are actually playing the game at, with community consensus tweaked ideal settings. All except that I am running at 900p, not the 800p the settings recommend, because that's the Steam Deck's native screen resolution, 800p, and the reason I'm doing it this way is because the Steam Deck has a laptop-style 16 by 10.
So he's running at 100p higher than the Steam Deck's resolution that they have for this game. And there's still a difference. That's something to take in.
An aspect ratio screen, while the ROG Ally, the Switch 2, and indeed how I bloody edit videos for YouTube at all, they all use the standard 16 by 9 ratio.
Oh my god. So look at her. And look at her right there. What a difference in clarity. You could see everything more smoothly. Same thing here. It's all faded. It doesn't look bad for a Steam Deck, I'm just saying.
The closest match I had for that is 900p. So in fact, this is very slightly higher resolution than the so-called Golden 40 Steam Deck settings. This is slightly better than what Steam Deck players are looking at. Very slightly. Also, exactly like the situation with the Switch 2 source footage, I am actually capturing at 4K. Cyberpunk on the Switch 2 has a 1080p output, that's what the game targets. The game itself scales to that from a lower internal resolution via DLSS. It is unclear if that is a dynamic internal.
Look at the floor right here. Look at the floor right there on the Switch 2. See, this is where you start to see this major difference here.
Resolution, or if it's locked. We just do not have that particular information
See how blurry that is? See how clear that is with the right color? Again, we consistently see this.
yet, but in the case of the Steam Deck settings, it is locked at balanced mode using XeSS, again, directly in line with the consensus recommended settings of the so-called Golden 40. So, I mean, you're looking at it, and you have been for a few minutes now while I waffle on. You tell me. Go on, Steam Deck loyalists. I dare you to tell me all about how the Steam Deck runs this game better than the Switch 2 at settings that you'd actually play at. I want to be really clear here. I am not shitting on the Steam Deck. I am not
this is just
anti-Steam Deck.
putting the truth out there.
It's a very solid device, and it has done amazing things for not just popularizing this kind of form factor of handheld and portable PC gaming, because, you know, we've seen...
I mean, guys, once again, see that clarity? Look at this. Again, this right here tells you everything again. Like, how many times do we have to do this? This symbol right here, just how blurry it is. And there it is. So this debate is not a debate. They're getting blown away. We're not even at our day one patch yet either. And the system is going to have a huge day one patch to perform better, they said. So we get the idea here, right? Over here, you know how we do it. We just show you the truth. And either you're man enough to accept it, or people run away like little boys. There's been a lot of people that have done that. But yeah, I don't have time to do the arguments. Like, let's get straight to business and let's show some gameplay here. So we have it here. Let me know what you guys think about this. Like, comment, subscribe. And there's going to be plenty of more videos coming. I'm glad for people who have never got to experience this are going to be able to experience this. This is a great game, obviously. It's cool that you guys get the expansion with it too. You're going to love it. Because GTA games don't really exist in the Nintendo world, and this is a good one to start off. We know Red Dead Redemption 2 is on the way too with a 60 frames per second game, so we'll get to that when that comes out. All right, y'all. Peace out. Have a great day.